Hello, everybody. How are you doing today? Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. How is it going your side? Something very interesting happened to me. I actually went to a restaurant, right? And then I've been going to the restaurant for many times. And usually when I go there, I order a very delicious meal and I kept on eating this meal. And it's very, very delicious, right? And the more I'm enjoying eating this meal, the more I found out that they have no recipe in that restaurant that I can't help but taste all of it. And it's actually quite impressive because all of it is actually very, very good, very yummy. And above all, actually, I discovered also that it's very good for my health. Not only my health, but also that of my family. And I found out it gives me energy, right? It helps me to keep in very good mood. But I know actually this meal that I'm having all the time, it's kind of a expensive meal. Yeah. So you're always a little bit hesitant to spend, but you know it's so good to you. You know, it gives you so much benefit. And I'm also thinking actually, what's the point for me to make money if I can't enjoy it and share it with my family, with my children, people that are from my blood? What's the point, right? But it also got me thinking, why don't I share? Why can't I share that meal with everybody? It's only fair that we give like a fair chance to all humans, right, in the world, the ability, the opportunity to taste this delicacy. But as I say, the price is the problem. So I've been talking to the waiter and asked him, "Hey, sir, how much does it cost? Can you tell me how much this delicious meal, all the meal you've been giving me, costing me? Because I can see it's very important for my health. It gives me energy and it's good. And I want everybody to enjoy it." And I told him, because obviously I'm going to be going to my church. I'm a reverend, right? I want to share to people that listen to me how much it will cost. And he said, he promised to me he was going to give me the cost today. And the meal I'm talking to you about, it's called the energy transition. And I'm going to tell you how much that energy transition costs. What is the cost that is giving me? So stay tuned with me, guys. Hello, everybody again. So I'm 22. I'm the founder and CEO of Renewables in Africa, your global clean energy champion. And what we do in this channel is to make sure that we demystify the renewable energy, the clean energy sector for you. So it makes it seamless for you to engage, whichever way you come from. If you're a professional, for example, you step in it and say, hey, I want to train sector and get involved, but I don't know what is the right step to do. Here you find all the information that you need. If you are an investor, you're full of money, lots of money, you don't know how to deploy this money, right? You want to invest into the sector, but you again don't know the insights that are needed for you to be able to share this money. Don't worry, right? Don't worry. This money that you see over all this side, definitely we can help you to spend it, but we can give you all the right information you need. But if you're a business, again, you want to get your company, yeah, into the green path, but you don't know as well, so what to do with it. In this channel, you find all the information you need. So as I said, so we are here to engage with you and make it seamless, right? Straightforward for you to do it. What do you have to do? Very simple. I need you to subscribe to all our channel, right? Whether it's on Facebook, whether it's on Twitter, whether it's on YouTube, whether it's on LinkedIn, or whether it's on Telegram. Because on all those 5 channels today, we're now broadcasting. And reach out to us, leave us a comment, and share the information so many people can be can get to know this information, right? And that's what we're happy to do for you. And as I say, so I'm Tony Teo, founder CEO of Renewables in Africa. And today we're going to be talking about that excellent meal that I've been having for some time, which is the energy transition. I got into the bandwagon. I started tasting it more than 12 years ago, but I thought it's so good. What can I do to spread it across? And today, what I want to reveal to you is what the waiter told me how much it's going to cost me for me to spread it to the rest of the world, right? So how much is it going to cost us to move into the energy transition? And that's what we want to see. And as usual, the way to do it, by the way, as I'm speaking to you, feel free to drop a question to me, and I'm going to make sure that I respond to it. But as usually as we do it, I like always to start by a small presentation, right? Some facts for you to get to understand what we're talking about here. And after that, depending on what we're getting as a question, we're going to respond to that. Is it okay? Excellent. That's great. So let's move. Okay, so I'll just prepare with you some facts and figures. So let me just first of all check that. Yes, I have it here. So now it's gonna come online. Excellent, right? So what are we talking about here? So when we're talking about the energy transition, right? So this is basically those information I'm sharing with you here today. This is an extract of what was shared by McKinsey, or obviously the Bay Consulting Company, right? So the management consultant. So they came up with a study that was in January 2022, and feel free to obviously research yourself, and where they sort of costing what is going to be to move into the net zero transition. And also, it's important to say those figures that I'm about to share with you, just an extract, because obviously the analysis is the report is a lot bigger than that. But I thought it was actually quite interesting, because as we embark into this journey, so it's important to understand roughly so how much we're talking about here, and the figures that I'm going to talk to you about, right? So these are actually figures that come from a specific scenarios, right? That was put together by the I think it's an organization set up by different central bank. That was in December 2017, where they were looking at the what is the net zero path if all the major countries would embark into this journey, right? So what would it take, right? Obviously, they came up with scenarios, which is a kind of realistic scenario, some can say, and then it's based on that McKinsey actually developed the report. And let me just go back to the report. And what the report is saying is actually here we have, I mean, energy. The way we look at that, it's spread across 7 sectors. So if you can't see not a problem. What I can do, I can always send that to you later. Just reach out to me. I can send this very short presentation I put together. I can send that to you later, right? But in a nutshell, what it shares actually is emissions are spread into 7 key sectors. And those are the 7 key sectors that represent about 85% of the emission that we see out in the world, right? So you have the power sector, you have industry, you have mobility, you have buildings, agriculture, you have forestry, and you have waste, right? And actually, you could see as well that when we're talking about CO2, the main sector, as we're talking about that, is power, industry, mobility, buildings, and also forestry, right? So that's what we see. So those are the key sectors that are actually are concerned. So that means if we stand a chance to get rid of all the CO2, we need to tap into those sectors. It is very, very important. And one thing, as you know, there's 2 key gas that we're looking at. In fact, 3. Also the nitrous oxide, but actually that one, like I say, there is not too much attention at the moment. The 2 key that we're talking about, one is obviously the CO2. Everybody knows about that. But what has been sort of gaining more in terms of coverage as well, it's the methane, right? Methane. Now, methane is a very important one, and you can see, for example, for industry will release a lot of CO2, but also a lot of methane, right? So, and even agriculture, you have a lot of methane that come from agriculture. In fact, agriculture, as we know, actually, so they are. I think they are a big producer. I would say producer, a big emitter, the big emitter of methane, right? Whereby industry is actually both CO2 and emission. So essentially, what I wanted to say, if you go back to that, is just to say that there's 7 sectors that are concerned here. Let me just say again: you have power, you have industries, you have mobility, you have buildings, agriculture, forestry, and waste. So if we stand a chance to bring down those emissions, we need to be looking at those 7, right? Very, very important. So the other thing, and that's where I'm giving you immediately to the information about the cost, right? So how much is it going to cost you, right? That's very important. So I was even so excited, I didn't even realize that I had a little typo in the slide. Hey, but who cares? What you want is the information, and that one is quite important. So what it says actually is, I mean, again, that's depending on a specific scenario, right? So that was put together, as I say, by an organization what that was set up by the different central bank and supervisor of central bank. It's called the Network for Greening the Financial Service. They've done it in December 2017, right? And the idea is to look at the hypothetical net zero transition scenario. It's based on that Mackenzie has came up with the study. And what they say is actually is you can see basically $9.2 trillion a year. That's what is needed between now and 2050. That's what needs to be spent. Yeah. So let's say more or less realistically, if we're looking at moving to a path toward net zero. But don't think that actually it's going to be 9.2 trillion that needs to be spent out of the blue, meaning that nothing has been done now. No, in fact, so you will see in the figure that I'm showing here. In fact, the new spending it's about 3.5 trillion. Yeah, that is 3.5 trillion because there's already some money going in, and that's what we need to be spent on physical assets. So that's the additional money that we need to find. The 3.5 trillion that needs to be spent on a yearly basis, and that's globally. But also for you to understand what that represents, because I'm sure if I share that with you like that, 9.2 trillion, even to me, it doesn't mean much, right? So that all I know is a lot of money, but hey, what does that mean exactly? So in fact, that 9.2 trillion, as I mentioned, so the new spending compared to what is already been done, it's about 3.5 trillion. That's the additional that we need. And this every year between now and obviously 2050. It means that for the next 28 years, yeah, that's what we need to be or we need to be spending. And in fact, basically the 3.5 trillion that is needed as additional money, this represents actually half of the global corporate profit that is actually collected on a yearly basis. So they put all the big companies in the world, you can the profit that they're making. So they're making about 7 trillion. So basically 3.5 trillion is what they need to be is what needs to be invested into the economy to get to move towards green transition, right, and energy transition. So it's almost like you talk to all those companies, say, hey, half of your profit, you commit to put half of your profit into a pot, and that's how we can fund it. So as you can see, this is significant amount of money, but it's good to know, right? It's good to know. I'm sure you're going to be asking the question, okay, so who's going to be financing such type of money? Hey, that's another tough question. Maybe let's leave it for another time. But for now, it's good for you to know that. And I go back to that. I say that the other information that good for you to know, it's obviously how is it going to be spread. So who is exposed, who is not exposed. And this is particularly interesting because if you're looking at that, yeah, again, like I say, it's slightly small. Your job is to reach out to me and I can send that to you, I promise. So what it actually says, according to this report, is that uh there's some countries that are going to struggle more than others, right? So first of all the countries will be exposed to that one way or another, just because the world is so connected nowadays, right? We can see that as well, right? Whereby we're having a conflict in the Eastern Europe. So you may be thinking it's just localized in this place, but no, all of us kind of are affected, right? One way or another, right? Global supply chain issue, and also the global food industry, yeah, we tend to be affected. So we're going to be affected by energy transition, all of us, right? Some will be more exposed than others. And in fact, what this graph is showing is actually the people that are going to suffer the most, according to what it says here, it's actually people from the developing countries, number one. Also people with the economy turns a lot toward fossil fuel, simply because they need to completely rebuild almost the economy from scratch, trying to look at new scenarios whereby countries that have, first of all, a lot more money, but also have let's say a lot more technology may be able to better navigate the situation. And this is what we're finding here. So yeah, so if we're talking about a country like Nigeria, talking about a country like Kenya, talking about Bangladesh or Pakistan, first of all, their GDP compared to the population, it's low compared to the biggest economy in the world. But also, those are the ones that's going to be more exposed. So obviously, this is not necessarily a great news for them, right? It's not great news because it means that okay, so you will need to do something. You will need to be prepared. And the reason for us, we are always happy to share this kind of information. For me, I particularly find it interesting is because you want to know what's coming up. Like I say, if you're an investor, right? So if you're a company, you want to know what's coming up, what's shaping, and how you position yourself, and how do you anticipate. Because some may say, I don't care. I'm not concerned about it. I'm just going to ignore it. But guess what? Whether you like it or not, the fact that we are in such a connected economy, right, a global economy, you're going to be affected, especially the big countries in the world, right? They're taking step already. They're taking step already to move down this journey. So that means just as a ripple effect, even that you will be affected. But if you know what's coming, you can at least prepare because what one thing that we also should be saying is actually, as that energy transition is rolling now, clearly it's just going to be a lot of change happening, right? A lot of risk that will need to be mitigated, but also a lot of new opportunities and those opportunities. So if you know how to identify them, you know obviously how to position yourself. And this is what I want you to be aware of, right? So that's what I had to share for today. So clearly, when the waiter shared for me the bill, I was like, "Oh my god, that's a hefty bill." So how am I gonna do it to share that? But as I say, at least if you know it, you can start preparing, right? And like I say, it's almost like okay, worst worst come to worst, as I say, this represent half of the global profit in the world. So imagine if all the companies say, "Hey, half of your half of your profit put in the pot to finance it." Yeah, so that's a way to solve it. But we know obviously that would be a little bit challenging to get it done right this way, especially that you'll be telling them to do that for 28 years. And I don't know if anybody can do that, right? So that's what I wanted to share for you today. So I'm more than happy now to take any few questions if there is, right? And then we can respond to that. So let me just move into this part for the question. After that, we can talk more. Okay, so yes, so that's the part I'm thinking. Some question if there is. So let me look at that to see if there's anybody that has any questions. 'Cause I can see some people are watching. So if you have any questions regarding any information, so what is the mean to you? You know, 9.2 trillion share. It's a lot of money. A lot of money. So we care, not care. It is something you believe that we should be looking at. We should not be looking at. So what is your priority? Do you have any priority that we can talk about and that we could and also just more generally speaking. So if you have any comments, any questions that you want to send to me, feel free to do so as well. So I'll be very happy to respond to that. Because I'm always keen to see what people think. For example, I know that I'll be attending very soon a sustainability event organized by the economists in both virtually but also in person in Washington D.C. And I've reached out to a few people to say, hey, if you have any question for me that you want me to carry, so definitely reach out and obviously open up some few meeting slots for people to jump into it if they had a couple of things to say. And to my big surprise, in a matter of just 24 hours, all those slots were filled. So yeah, so that means I have now lots of conversation. I need to have lots of people, and a few as well. So send me an email directly just to share their opinions and their concerns. So by the way, if you are one of them, thank you very much. I really appreciate that. Yeah. So, because sometimes you could be speaking, you don't know if people are listening, you don't know if people care. And then you go ahead and just suggest something that all of a sudden everybody will respond. Oh, not everybody, some people respond. And that's actually quite good. So, if you have any questions for me, so I'm more than happy to respond. It could be on this topic or it could be on another topic, but let me know. and then I'll be good. I'll be happy. I'll be happy to respond to that. So, any questions? So I take it that everybody's pretty much content with what they have received. If that's the case, excellent, no problem. I have yes, nothing to say. Okay, so in that case, no problem. So if there's no further questions, so as I say, always a pleasure for me to talk to you guys. And if there is anything you wanted to share even later, don't hesitate to drop a comment, to share the video, and yeah, I'll be happy to respond to that. But the other thing that so we have our next live on Wednesday, and even on Wednesday as well, we have a couple of webinars that are also coming. So I'm hoping that you're going to be able to engage with us on all the platforms, on YouTube, on Facebook, on Twitter, on LinkedIn, but also on Telegram, because those are all the channels now we are broadcasting from today, right? So pleasure for me to be talking to you guys, and like I say, may the sun be with you guys. Take care.